What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Leave It at the Table. Tonight, very special episode. We talking wrestling. So if you guys are out there, I mean, we're going to talk a little football at the beginning. But we are going to talk wrestling. So I've sent this to a lot of my wrestling buddies. Need you guys to stick around. Need you guys to comment so that Drew will allow us to do this again in the future. So
yeah, please, please help me, help you. That's what I need.
Kyle Wright, Drew Gorman. We have a special guest in studio with us today. But first, Drew, thank you for the 7:15 start times, the inconsistencies that your job allows us.
Retweet. Hey, great. It's a working salary and doing installs for a living, window treatments. It's a blessing and a curse. It depends on how fast you get done throughout the day. Like I was telling my coworker, and yesterday we were done at 3. The day before we were done at 4. Today we decided to be done at 6 in Santa Rosa Beach.
Oh. No free ads.
Hey, yep. Don't read my shirt.
Want to welcome Coach Brian Haddad into the studio today.
How you doing?
Fantastic.
I thought it was Haddock.
Coach Brian Haddock. Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah,
I never really thought about this as a possibility, but as SummerSlam approached, I was like, well, you got to do it for at least the 3 of the 4 Grand Slams.
I think so.
Well, so we'll probably Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Yeah. We'll revisit these. But SummerSlam's big, and this is one of the biggest ones that we've seen. I think it's the first of the Triple H era. It's going to be a big weekend.
Yeah, you know, they call it Hot WrestleMania because it really is kind of the number 2. I think. Now, to me, Royal Rumble has kind of supplanted it possibly, but I think in terms of the approach that they take, it's number 2. And of course, next year they're going to a 2-day SummerSlam, so it's very much gonna mimic WrestleMania. But yeah, they've got quite a card lined up for this year. I mean, we have 6 title matches, and the one that isn't a title match just so happens to be CM Punk and Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins. So yeah, it's gonna be quite a card.
We got the possibility of Roman coming back this weekend. Right. We've got just so many things looming over this, the LA Knight situation. So we are going to talk about that on the back half of this episode. So make sure you guys stick around. Got a couple comments on there already. Everyone's insulting the intro. I got the damn intro cut in half, by the way. I paid money, real American dollars to get that cut in half this week.
If you want it cut down even more, please send funds.
There you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can cut it to 2.5 minutes, but in Joe Biden's America, I've already paid $50 to get the damn thing cut in half. So keep that in mind, for God's sake.
Come on, man.
Please send help.
Kyle Albritton, the intro is longer than a CVS receipt. Jake McGowan, this intro takes longer than a Roman Reigns break from TV.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
That went over my head like a haircut.
Shout out Chef Ross. We see James Lehman out there. We've seen Bo Green out there as well. Thank you guys for being there. Thanks for sticking around. Man, last week we had a great episode. I hope that people got the opportunity to go back and watch it. Yes. The damn woutage that we had, the internet woutage, just unreliable internet, no free ads, but no free
no free internet,
no free shade. Yeah. No, I did get a $5 credit. I did get a $5 credit for the 48 hours of internet that I lost. I did get a $5 credit. So shout out to
boy, if you needed a Hawk Tua before that,
don't spend it all in one place.
To the Owen Wilson internet company here locally for that last week. But on a real note, man, if just a fantastic episode that we had the pre-record and put out. So go check it out. I mean, it's on my Facebook page, but the easiest thing to do is just go to the YouTube channel. Go check it out there. We talked to a couple teachers last week. We pretty much interviewed Brian Bassett and Tina Fisher, my aunt, both educators here in Bay County. And we had just an incredible conversation with them. There's going to be a part 2. We're going to bring them back probably sometime at the end of the first semester.
It was very enlightening because you never really get to hear their side of things. Right. You hear it from the parents' perspective. Oh, the teacher's teaching them this, blah, blah, blah. You hear the media's perspective of how everything's going in the school, but you never get to hear their side of what they're having to deal with from the parents, from the school, from the students. It was very enlightening and very eye-opening from our perspective because we had a whole lot of questions. We came in with probably 10 to 15 questions.
Yeah.
We got through maybe like 8 of them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and we were adding as we went too. Like, there just kept, like, more would pop up, and we didn't get to ask like some of the big ones, like the pay situation with teachers, and just incredible conversation. So, guys, if you didn't watch it, please go back and check it out, because I'm telling you, it's a really good one. You guys know, I mean, we've had some really good episodes here so far. We've done some incredible content, and
Awesome.
Just having fun with it.
yeah. So we've got a lot more coming down the tailpipe here, I guess. The pipeline, probably the tail, coming down the tailpipe's probably
Cut that one out.
not the most friendly
Coming down the line.
coming down the line.
A little booger sugar in the morning, baby.
No, Drew and I have another challenge lined up for here in like 2 weeks. Probably the least excited I've been for one of those. Truthfully, I know I probably say that every time, but I just, because there's no chew factor to, I'm not going to tell them what it is, but it's like a straight consumption. It's not.
I'm excited for it because I think I might buy them personally. I think I might like them and buy them personally.
Oh, we'll see, but we'll announce that.
Jeffrey's over there. Ugh, what are you doing?
Jeffrey, bullshit. You're doing it this time. I'm telling you right now, because every time we've done this so far, you've sat over there and just wrote down your little notes and everything and played on your phone. This time, you're doing whatever it is that we're doing.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to talk some football here to start this thing off. I was listening to the Dan Patrick Show yesterday. No free ads on ESPN Northwest Florida. And they started talking about the NFL's new onside kick rules. And there's a lot more to it. They're lining up differently. They're doing a lot of new things. But I want to get you guys' takes on this, especially you, Drew, because you're a New Orleans Saints fan. So for those of you that missed it, here's the 3 big highlights of the NFL's new onside kick rule. You can only do an onside kick in the fourth quarter. You can only do an onside kick if you are trailing, and you must inform the other team of an incoming onside kick.
What's the point in doing it?
Right.
And I mean, why make that change? If you're gonna make that change, it's gonna like go straight to just a 4th and 10. If you get it, you keep going. If you don't, it's the other team's ball. And yes, you brought up me being a Saints fan and everything. As you think back to the Super Bowl, that was the great tide turner.
Oh, yeah.
That flipped everything on its head. We're down, if I'm not mistaken, we're down in a 1-score game. I think it was only 3 at that point in time, coming out of halftime. And it was one that Sean Payton had worked on all throughout. He was like, I don't know if we're going to do it. He was still 50-50 going into halftime.
Yeah.
And then at halftime, he walks up to his special teams coordinator and was like, what do you think about an onside kick? Start the second half. Whole team was, yeah, let's do it. It worked out perfection.
Yeah.
Worked to perfection. Flipped everything on its head. Put the momentum back in Drew Brees' hands. And the rest is history, per se. So I couldn't imagine what would have happened if we would have allowed Peyton Manning to come back out, because they had just scored to go into the half, if I'm not mistaken. You give Peyton Manning another chance against our defense. Granted, we were bounty gate at that point in time, so it might not have been that much fun for him. But you give him another chance to diagnose what happens. Don't give the sheriff too many chances.
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, it's one of those cases where they changed the rules on the regular kickoffs, and I understand it. I don't love it, but I understand it because it is following in line with what they are doing with safety and this, that, or the other. And it's a high velocity, area, and there are a lot of injuries. The problem they have is law of unintended consequences. The offside rule, the onside kick rule, I don't think was their plan. I think they realized after they set this new kick rule, it's like, wait a minute, the way we're doing this now, we can't do things the way we used to do. What do we do in an onside kick situation? So they had to come up with this plan. And
a lot more kicking team friendly, right?
Yeah, but I hate the fact, just like you said, I mean, I think Alabama did it to Georgia too, famously. Yeah. It does take away an element of gamesmanship, which I love. I mean, I coached for 30 years. I didn't coach football, but I like the fact that there can be things that you work on specifically for one moment in time that you can catch someone unprepared. And I love that. I don't like this notion that you have to inform the team you're doing it.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous. But based on the rules they're doing with where they're now setting people, you almost kind of have to do it that way. So it's because you have to reline up, everybody in a totally different fashion.
And
so it's the bad consequence of them trying to make the overall kickoffs more safe. I get what they're doing. I don't know. Maybe I'm an old and get off my lawn kind of guy, but I liked the kickoffs the way they were.
I've got the same thought as James right there. We're gonna have to declare pass or run prior to snap next year. Like, at what point do you stop that progression? Hopefully, it stops here, but at the end of the day, the gamesmanship, you've got to have at least a little bit of unpredictability. Otherwise, everyone in the whole house is going to know. Like it's the whole world knew that Marshawn Lynch was going to get that ball.
Yeah.
And Pete Carroll said, nah. Look how that turned out.
But here's the other thing. You might as well just take all kicking out of the game. And I know that's been discussed because it's like, what are we really doing? No one ever treats kickers like they're part of the team, certainly not if they miss.
Right.
But there has been that discussion, and you're almost ceding that line here because, with the way this goes, just the whole notion of having to declare you're doing XYZ, why not just take kickoffs completely out of the game? And then, I'm not saying I want it to be that way. I just see this as the next progression in what they're doing.
I mean, you might as well at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the kickoff rules, now I think if I'm not mistaken, the fair catch inside the 25 has now gotten into the NFL. If I'm not mistaken, if not,
that's correct.
I think it's very close. If not, so now you can call it fair catch and get the ball at the 25 anywhere on the field, just about.
And that's if we take kicking out of the game, yes, it makes things safer, but it cuts down on the roster. Like, there were so many players that, like Rashid Shaheed for the Saints this past year, he started as a kick returner.
Yeah.
And then as wide receivers got hurt,
that's right,
and in different situations, we were Dennis Allen started looking and Pete Carmichael was like, "Hey, we got to get this guy the ball more often. He's making things happen with the ball in his hand. Now he's our number 2 wide receiver."
Yeah. Well, look, like, take that and take it to, like, beyond that, right? Take it to guys like Telvin Smith, played linebacker at Florida State, got himself in a lot of trouble, but he had gotten drafted in the 5th round. He's like a 3rd-string linebacker. His only opportunity to touch the field was on special teams on kickoffs. Now you're taking that out of it, right? Now you're taking these guys that are trying to earn
Devin
their
Hester.
spot. Yeah, Devin. Yeah. Josh Cribbs.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, you go to a smaller level. There's a guy who lives 6 houses down the street from me growing up. His name is Michael Osmus. Nobody here knows him, but he played for Alabama on the 92 national championship team. Purely played special teams. He was an undersized linebacker, but he played special teams. He had 3 tackles in the Sugar Bowl on special teams. Like, that's how good he was at that. And
big.
he had an impact in a national championship game that he wouldn't have normally had in the way that this goes. The roster discussion is one I definitely want to get into when we get into contracts, because I've got thoughts on the whole 53-man roster as well. But
you start taking out all those extra people that you've got just for special teams. How low do you go?
Yeah. Well, the owners get interested in that for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to pay as much.
No.
Then where does the AFL? Does the not AFL? Does the other leagues? They're going to be overloaded with people.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We were talking about this before we came on. Is this will undoubtedly trickle down. And it'll go into college. It'll go into high school. I mean, all of them kind of have their own little rules now, but it'll definitely follow its way down. And you want to talk about having a real impact in college. I mean, these people now just went to 105-man scholarship rosters. I think I heard the University of Florida had 120 out the other day. It was crazy.
Insane. That's insane.
So, I mean, yeah, it's taken away another opportunity for these guys to get on the field. So.
And like, you're going to have, at what point do you, like, talking about the kicking game, line up for a field goal? Okay, nobody rush. You can't block it.
That's what you have in, like, the Hula Bowl and things like that already. Now, look, if y'all are South Park fans, we're going to Sarcastable here.
Yeah, oh my
That's
God.
where we're going.
If you haven't watched that episode of South Park, I will say, quite the twist in that episode.
Yeah.
With the Jim Rome and sarcastic. I think it's like season 17 or 15 or something. That's such a messed up episode.
Those guys are fortune tellers way more than they need to be.
Yeah.
They see the future.
They really do, and oh man, just a great episode. Go check that out.
Crazy part is
No free
them
ads.
and the Simpsons. They just come up with the randomest things, and somehow it turns true. It's like,
Well, I mean,
Wow.
when you do 22 seasons of
That's right.
you got to come up
content-
with something.
Life imitates art.
Yeah.
Go through a couple of the comments here, Jeffrey. We had a couple up high talking about like some different challenges. Like there's a swallowing dip juice challenge from Jake McGowan.
No, thank you.
I've actually done that.
I was
when
going to say
in the
that
Army.
that sounds like when I was 17. That just what happened.
Like Mountain Dew bottle in there. Thought it was mine. Grabbed it, just drank. Terrible.
Oh yeah.
Never talked to that guy again. Actually, I'm in on the whiskey challenge. That could be
There we
one
go.
we would have to do on a weekend, so Drew can spend the night.
Yes. Yes.
That would be. I'd be down for that. Moonshine challenge, sour challenge. I mean, I'd do the sour challenge again. It was fun, but it was tore my tongue up. My tongue was kind of raw the day after.
I kept tasting like metal for like the next week.
It was weird, man. Like acid reflux and
Yeah.
everything. There is another version of the sour challenge that we might do down the road. It's apparently more sour, which
Oh,
so yeah.
cranberries.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's more sour than that.
Yeah.
Because the cranberries, they tasted good. At least the blueberries were disgusting.
The strawberries were the best one.
I've snacked on those a couple times since then.
They at level 1 strawberries,
Yeah, like that's throw it in the lunchbox.
10 out of 10 would
Yeah.
go again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, there
gonna
were
be
3.
Gonna be flag football before we know it from Bo Green. We're gonna have to declare pass or run prior to the snap. You already read that one off. Easier to buy championships with current payrolls. That's James Lehman and Kyle Albritton. The way these rules are, there will never be any other returners in the Hall of Fame besides Hester.
I think we're already there.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're already there. We just don't. You never see runbacks anymore, and it's not prioritized. And he's right. We're just not going to see another one.
And you're especially not gonna have guys that are designed to be that.
Yeah.
Like you might get a run back here and there, but
Turpin from the Cowboys, is he still even around now that they're
I don't know.
changing everything?
The only way you would get one would be someone like a Dion who would go primarily for something else.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
just happen to return.
be
you know.
very good at it.
That's
the
right.
Deshaun Jackson situation,
Yeah, I think so.
that kind of guy.
I think so.
And then Jake McGowan, online NCAA would be a lot easier if the rules of declare, pass, or run pre-snap. Listen, that game's hard. We're going to play it here on the show here soon.
So have y'all
Hard.
played it yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I'm a little bit older. I remember Bill Walsh, college football. I mean,
Jeez.
we're talking early 90s. And I don't think we had the spin button yet, but I loved it. And I've kind of gotten out of online gaming. And so I never did online, but I've kind of gotten out of the gaming and all like that. But this is the one game that might draw me back in. It really might, because it was such a nostalgic part of high school and college for me. I mean, to the point that Tecmo Bowl was a big part of my life. That's how far back. But it was certainly a blast, and what you're able to do with this thing now is crazy.
I have this weird thing where I've played a lot of the new. I've played a lot of College Football 25, but I have this weird thing where I can't play a game if it's out of season.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm stuck on MLB The Show because college football not here yet. Once college football starts, I'll get hooked on it. Like I'll never be able to put it down. But right now I'm still stuck on MLB The Show, even with the Reds down 6-0 to the lowly Cubs.
Well, we're down 2-0 to the Pirates right now. The Astros are. But
How about Chris Morrell finding his home run swing after they get rid of him? Yeah. Way to go, Cubbies.
Good dude.
One of the unintended great things that is coming out of the NCAA 25 is it's still made by EA, so is Madden. And since everyone was scared that it was just going to be a copy and paste from what Madden was,
Right.
and everyone for the past 20 years copy and paste Madden, just add a new name and add new rosters, and that's been the running joke. Now that they've branched out and kind of added a couple different things for NCAA, I'm hoping it's not a copy and paste NCAA for the next Madden. I hope they add new things and change things in the Madden universe, which might drum up some more business for them, but also might bring people back to playing Madden.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that as soon as this game came out, they were like, oh, well, Madden's in the trash.
I mean, I haven't bought a Madden in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
There's been no need. It's like you just update your rosters from Madden 20 and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, there's certain mods out there where you don't even have to. You just download someone else's roster. It's a whole new thing. Want to get into these contracts and talk about these guys signing these deals and compare them.
Money.
Yeah, man. Comparing them, at least the AAVs, the annual values of some of these. You look at the top like 7 or 8 quarterbacks in the league, and it's an interesting list. I'm not going to say that none of them deserve to be up there, but they all have one thing in common, and we'll get there in just a minute. So if you guys missed it, Tua Tagovailoa signed a 4-year, $212.4 million deal this week with the Miami Dolphins, $167 million of that being guaranteed. I saw Kyle Albertin say it in the comments earlier. I'll go back to it now. You don't have to scroll up, Jeffrey, but basically he's going to make more this year than Dan Marino made his entire career.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And that's just the way football is now. And I'll give my personal feelings on this contract once we dive in a little deeper here. Hours later, by the way, it was like one of them was waiting on the other to happen, is what it seemed like to me. Jordan Love, who has started 9 games in his career, signed a 4-year, $220 million deal with the Green Bay Packers. Only $100.8 million of that guaranteed. I think now I like that end of it because I feel we'll start on the Jordan Love deal. Obviously.
Well, it falls in line. He's less proven.
Right.
Yeah,
but
I get that.
Highest paid player of all time now. Highest paid quarterback of all time. 9 career
Till
starts.
the next one.
But he has something that Tua doesn't have, right? Playoff win.
Playoff, yeah.
So,
Because he drew the Cowboys, right?
yeah. If Tua could play the damn Cowboys, we'd be all right.
If the Dolphins were in the NFC, they're playing in the Super Bowl last year.
Maybe. I mean, that's possible, but yeah,
they were pretty beat up by the end, right?
They were dismantled, especially defensively. $100.8 million guaranteed. Instead of like specifically talking about Jordan Love, I do want to ask, like, I think there should be more contracts like this, like where most of it, like beyond a certain point, is incentive based.
It's hard because I see both sides of this at the same time. From a player's perspective, football, above all other sports, should be the most fully guaranteed contract because it's the most fraught with risk. By the same token, it should be the least guaranteed contract for owners because it's the most fraught with risk. So, I mean, I always found it crazy that baseball contracts were fully guaranteed and football guys weren't, but that's just the way of the world. I like seeing that a good fair amount is fully guaranteed. I do think that's important for these guys because you're always worried about guys who are playing afraid to get hurt, and you can't play in the NFL if you're a step slow or something like that, worried about getting hurt. As far as the rest of it, it's horrendously skewed towards one position, and it is the most important position on the field.
Yeah.
But does it truly equate to that value? I'm not sure it does. I'm not sure it ever will. My biggest problem with it is the way it's so skewed. You've got quarterbacks who are going to be making $220 million, and we have a 53-man roster. And now we're playing 17 regular season games. Every team is going out and bringing in players during the year who are not part of any organized football team. I hate that. And it's just done for greed. It's done for greed on the owner's end because they're not paying as much. It's done for greed on the players' union end because they want the players they have to make more. I think the NFL roster should absolutely be 65 to 70 players.
Yeah.
And I think that would cover so many issues to where you're not bringing this guy in off the street trying to get him up to speed. To me, that puts them more susceptible to injury as well. So if we're doing something with money, I'd like to see us do that more. Am I upset that these guys are making $200-something million? Not really. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I like that more money is guaranteed now than it was, but I just think that roster needs to go up.
My biggest thing with it, and I'll jump into Tua here. I just haven't seen enough from Tua for me to be comfortable with the Dolphins doing this. Now I understand the logistics of it. I understand this is where we're going. And there for like 3 hours, I was like almost punching air. Like, why would they give him that much? Why would they give him that much? Then you see Jordan Love, and I'm like, I text my buddy Jordan. Shout out to Jordan Gibbs if you're watching. I'm like, okay, well, doesn't seem that bad now. Like, and it's gonna keep going up. It's gonna keep going up. And and I was talking to another buddy about Lamar Jackson, and I'm like, well, I just think Tua's a better quarterback than Lamar. I don't think he doesn't have the accolades. He doesn't have the individual accolades, but I think he's a better passer. So, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe. The thing I worry about is I look at the Cincinnati Bengals, and I kind of look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's hard to say this because they just won a Super Bowl, right? But I worry about this kind of money with what you were saying, handicapping the franchise. Mm-hmm. And now they just gave Jalen Waddle a deal. Now they gave Tua a deal. Now where's the money going to go? Because you got Jalen Phillips coming up. You got Tyreek's going to be gone here in like 2 or 3 years. You've got Bradley Chubb's going to be coming up soon. You got Javon Holland. You've got all these good young guys on the Miami Dolphins that, I mean, what's going to happen in 2 years? You look at the Bengals right now. I mean, T. Higgins is gone after this year. Jamar Chase is now holding out. He wants more money. The Bengals gave Joe Burrow all this money that they really didn't have to give him, and now they can't keep him on his damn feet.
In a hard cap league.
Right, dude. They can't keep the guy on his feet, and now his number one receiver's out crying for more money. So now they're gonna have to because you can't lose Jamar Chase. You're talking generational talent, top 3 to 5 receiver in the league right now, 2 years into his career, 3 years into his career. So you have to pay him. It's just that's my worry with these kinds of things is that without the salary cap going up a substantial amount, I feel like this is going to handicap the Dolphins, and it might not hurt this year, but next year, I mean, you better win a damn Super Bowl. You better at least get a couple playoff wins under your belt.
And if you're the Packers and you've signed Love after 1 year to this, you're ecstatic because at this point, it's earlier the better. Because like you said earlier, it's just going to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
You want to get them at this rate right now because, you might be looking at it going, I overpaid for a guy right now.
It's the ACC television deal is what it is.
You see, wait till next year whenever some of the other quarterbacks are up for it. This deal is going to go by the wayside, and you're going to, and maybe in 5 years, if he has the career that he's projected to have, in 5 years, they're gonna look. You're gonna be like, "Oh, they got him for a steal." But right now, we're all up in arms because it's been 1 year.
Well, market forces 101 come into play here too, because everyone always thinks of pay as a reward for the work that you do, and it's not. It's basically what it costs to replace you.
Yeah.
And they're in this new age that we're in with rookie deals and this, that, or the other. There are 2 ways to make a run at a championship. One is to get a Brock Purdy on a nothing deal, and pay everybody else and make a run. The other one is if you think you have the guy you like and you don't want to start over again, you pay him big and hope you can win that year or the next one. That sounds to me like what the Packers seem to think. We got a team that just went to the playoffs over a guy who's played 9 years. This is our guy. Instead of starting over, we're going to pay him, and let's see. The Dolphins are doing the same thing. We got something that worked great last year. Tua didn't go out with any concussions. Instead of go back into the draft and get on a rookie deal, we're going with this guy. And so it's one of those 2 options is the way things are going. It's until the next CBA, I think this is exactly what you're going to see.
And at some point, it's going to get to that point where teams aren't going to want to pay that number 1 quarterback, a guy like a Tua, a Jordan Love, even a Jared Goff, guys who from the media, from our perspective, they're middle of the road. I don't know if you'd call them top tier guys. They tier 2, tier 3 guys. So, and they're getting tier 1 money. At some point, those guys are going to be, owners are going to be like, maybe I'll kick the can down the road a little bit. I'll go get a middle of the road Derek Carr, pay him a little bit less and be just fine because I know he's not going to lose games for me instead of paying a guy like a Tua to go out and win a ball game. It's going to be a weird couple of years.
The problem there is you need owners who have a backbone to stand up to the fan base who wants to win all the time, every time. And, it's basketball maybe believes in the process and just dumping and getting the top draft pick. Football They don't have that long.
I mean, this conversation when you get into the NBA with like, what is Jason Tatum going to make this year? Like $63 million, or for the next several years, that's a whole different thing.
Oh yeah.
But when you do talk about the tiers, right? You talk about your tier quarterbacks. I think about like, if I was a tier one, obviously Patrick Mahomes is up there by himself. Like it's one guy, and this is just my personal list. And then tier two, I think is such a steep fall to like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. And then from there, it's like another
potentially an Aaron Rodgers, though he's older and coming off an injury. But
absolutely. So, and then there's another quite a steep drop off into your Burrows, your Tuas. And the only reason I put Burrow there is just because the injury stuff.
Yeah, you can't keep him on his feet. I agree.
Can't keep him on his feet. And when he did play last year, he wasn't good. Yeah. So, I mean,
I know he was my fantasy quarterback.
So, no, mine too. That's how I know. I was punching air all season. I'm like, all right, I took Burrow and Chase. I'm fucking winning it all. And with like 3 wins last year. I'm not even in a fantasy league right now, by the way. I'm currently not in a fantasy football league. Here's your top 7 highest paid quarterbacks per the average annual value of their contracts.
Okay.
Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow tied at $55 million apiece. Tua Tagovailoa coming in at 53.1, Jared Goff at 53, Justin Herbert 52.5, and Lamar Jackson at 52.
How many of those have been to a Super Bowl?
2. Yeah. How many of them have won a Super Bowl?
0. Amazing.
That's the I mean, Lamar Jackson's only got 2 playoff wins, I think, in his career. Justin Herbert, 0 playoff wins. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship.
That's right.
But terrible performance in that Super Bowl.
There's one name that jumps out to me out of those 7 that's just like, why? And it's Trevor Lawrence. Because I can see Joe Burrow. He's been to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm an LSU homer. I can see.
I also don't want any of my the spewing that I did to be anti Joe Burrow, like to be read as that. I do, but I just the injury stuff, and then just like handicapping the franchise.
You're talking about investing,
right? Yeah. Exactly.
And investing, you look at the risks of your asset.
Yeah.
And he is a risky asset. Now his ceiling is extremely high, as he's shown.
Yeah.
But he's a risky asset.
And Jordan Love, buy low right now. I think that $100.8 million guaranteed. I think they hit the nail on the head with buying low because he hasn't proven it. Tua, I think the sky is the limit for Tua. No concussions, keep him on his feet, just like Joe Burrow. Sky's the limit, just got to keep him on his feet. Jared Goff, he's found new life in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big Jared Goff stan. Big fan. Justin
Herbert, now with a run-minded coach, you put him in a different offense. I think he's big for.
But they ship all his weapons out,
but no running back, no receivers now.
But somehow, some way, Harbaugh is going to figure out a way to get a wild card spot. And
Herbert,
that's the scary part.
He's a combine quarterback. He just is. He has all the measurables. He can make all the throws. I don't love him in the game. I never have. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's an NFL starter. But we've put him on par with guys who are proven winners, and I just don't see that out of Herbert. I see him as a tremendous talent who I don't think has that intangible to truly be the team leader quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Harbaugh brings something out of him. Look, he's the quarterback whisperer.
Doesn't have that it.
But I don't see it out of Herbert.
I do also want to play devil's advocate for Justin Herbert. Obviously now I want Tua over any quarterback in the league just because the offense has been built to Tua's specs.
Yeah.
I mean, but going back to that 2020 draft, I wanted Herbert over Tua. And to this day, I still look at it and I'm like, man, Herbert over Tua. I still wanted that. And I still would take that even if I could go back in time. I still would. And I just want to play devil's advocate for him because he's had nothing but busted-ass receivers with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He's had busted-ass Austin Eckler in the backfield for the whole 5 years that he's been there. I just it's hard. And a bum head coach. Joe Staley was an idiot. So it's really hard for me to...
It's fair. It very well could be.
It's hard for me to put that on him.
I just don't see it.
I agree with everything that you said. The craziest thing for me is... What NFL franchise is more cursed whenever it comes to
sure.
football than the Chargers.
Yeah.
If he would have gone to anywhere else, we might be looking at him differently just because he's the other LA team with the Chargers.
But for 50 years, they've had talented quarterbacks who couldn't see it through the. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan Fouts was phenomenal. Phillip Rivers, the career he had out there, but they just.
Breeze was there for
Breeze for what, 5 years? I
five.
think,
Yeah. And
I mean, I don't know.
Thanks,
It just-
Saban.
yes, thank you, Saban.
Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, I don't want it to be again that I'm hating on Justin Herbert. I just haven't seen that intangible out of him, and it may be exactly what you're describing. It may be all of that.
I haven't seen it with Tua.
Yeah,
But truthfully, I just haven't seen like that leadership come through. I haven't seen him lead the big comeback yet.
Yeah.
I've seen him hang 70 on somebody.
Yeah.
But once you're rolling, I feel like that's easier than coming down from 14. And I've
true.
seen Tua fold
true.
too many times in big games, and I need to see that next step. But in your defense, I haven't seen that from Herbert either.
Sure.
But Herbert's beat Mahomes a couple times. So.
Look, as a coach, you would want Herbert every
Yeah.
day because you think I can fix that. I can, and maybe it is just finding the right coach because he obviously has all the measurables.
Getting Harbaugh was big for the Chargers just for Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Because I think he brings a grit and a mentality that will teach Herbert how to really be, like you said, quarterback guru. Will really teach him how to be that guy, that have that it factor to lead a team. And also, whenever you see that arm talent, whenever you see the combine statistics that this guy is able to put up, all you want to do is throw.
Yeah.
But as you can see from the NFL, that's not how games are won. You still have to run the ball into December and January and February, a la what broke down for the Dolphins this past year. There was no run game to take the pressure off of Tua.
That's right.
And Tyreek and Waddle. At some point, you've got to remember, hey, I have a running back there. I still have to hand the ball off to take some pressure off of my 5-star great quarterback.
Right.
And-
Certainly
and-
not after Achane got hurt.
Yeah,
So.
and Harbaugh is going to bring that toughness, that grit, that mentality, that run the ball mentality, and it might unlock something because now Herbert's looking at it going, okay, hey, all I've got to do is get this third down. Okay, cool, let's do it.
I will, not to make this a Dolphins podcast, but I agree with you on the running situation. I mean, Achane was busted at the end of the year. Mostert was he's growing old. I do look at the Miami Dolphins roster right now, and I'm thinking on paper that there's not many more talented rosters on paper.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the National Football League. So I'm now they drafted Jalen Wright at running back out of Tennessee. He was the fastest running back in the draft. They've still got Mostert. They've still got Achane. I mean, they still got Tyreek. You got Waddle now. They brought in Jonnu Smith to play tight end.
Built for
They
speed.
signed
Oh my
Odell
God.
Beckham Jr. I mean, this team on
Odell may be the slowest player on that offense.
he might
Yeah.
be. He might be. But I am, they're kind of keeping Odell under
that's
wraps
right.
right now, and I love that idea. I
Yeah,
really do
I do
because
too.
it's you're
Everybody
keeping this guy
else's
healthy.
pads, your
Yeah.
two-hand touch, bud.
They signed Calais Campbell. They're doing the same thing with him. They're kind of keeping him out until the season starts, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I love the way they're doing this because the one thing you can't keep or the one thing you can't teach is experience. And
Yeah.
so they've got an experienced roster. They've got guys. I'm excited for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic because I still have trust issues. And with this guy, I just need to see him come up bigger in a big moment. I need to see him lead the game-winning drive to beat Buffalo with the division on the line, not get beat by 30 on Sunday
That's
Night
right.
Football.
You need freshman Tua, who threw the touchdown pass, to come out in an NFL game.
Well, I mean, look, as much as I love that play, the reason I didn't fully get to enjoy every bit of that play is I was still screaming at him for taking the sack the play before.
Yeah.
So
He has gotten a lot better with that. He's learned how to get rid of the ball,
Yeah.
which
Learn
my
how to
biggest
fall.
thing with him was right.
That's true.
And really,
Yeah.
like if you take the hit, you have to know how to take the hit, and he
Yeah.
did. Everyone ripped him for that, but the dude played all 17 games last year.
There's still nobody in the game, probably in the history of the game, that throws the slant better than Tua does.
I agree with you. I think if you're talking like 10 to 25 yards, there's not a more accurate quarterback in the league.
100% accuracy,
Yeah, it's pinpoint.
hands down.
The problem is if that first read's not there,
yes.
Tua panics. And I would like to see that get a little bit better as well, because I need to see Tua be able to progress through his second to third reads. Go through a couple of these comments here. Jake McGowan, here's my take. The market sets itself. Dolphins aren't going to be in position with that roster to draft one or two or to draft the new franchise guy. So you pay the guy what the market says, because free agency is only ever going to give you a quarterback 14-ish in the league.
That's true.
By the time Tua and Love's contracts hit, basically echoing exactly what both of you guys said about it in the first place. What's CJ Stroud going to get in 2 or 3 years, by the way?
Purdy,
62.
Stroud,
Yeah.
any of them.
You're talking 60 plus by the time that rolls around. Scroll down for me here, Jeffrey. We got James Lehman. If Dallas would have signed Dak and Lamb prior to the summer, they could have signed Henry and a run stopping DT. Dallas is in a weird situation.
Boy, they blew the offseason so bad.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
Really bad.
We're going all in. We're going to sign a punter.
Yeah. Essentially. I mean,
What?
they really,
Whatever.
especially with the Eagles bringing in Saquon.
They had it lined up, too. I
Yeah.
mean, there were guys who I think wanted to go. And
Henry
they just,
wanted.
I don't get it.
Henry wanted to to
Yep.
And
I mean,
and
truthfully, if
supposedly they never called.
if you're an athlete,
I don't get it.
I mean, we ripped the Dallas Cowboys, right? And rightfully so, because
Marcus Wisner.
The idea of America's team being just so atrociously bad in the playoffs, like our entire lives, essentially. But that said, there is something about that. Like if you grow up, right? If like baseball fans, like especially kids, like we rip the Yankees, right? But these kids, like most of them want to play for the Yankees one day. And it's kind of that way with the Dallas Cowboys. Like people want to play there.
I've probably got a little different take because I'm a little older than you guys. So
fair.
the Cowboys was a big deal for me growing up. I still hate Dwight Clark to this day for the catch because I just thought, and I think it happens. I think that's why they're America's team. There's something about that star that's just cool when you're little. I picked the Dallas Cowboys not because I lived in Dallas. I just thought they were cool. And I hated Joe Montana for life because he and Dwight Clark beat my Cowboys, and probably the first real football game I was into. And then obviously you had the run with Aikman and Smith and Irvin and, thank you, Herschel Walker, for all those Super Bowls. I mean, they were so good, they won one with Barry Switzer, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So, but since then, they have just been absolutely awful
96?
in the playoffs. I think that was the last one.
Last one?
Yeah.
VHS.
Better off
Nothing
watching
in-
the History Channel, baby.
I'm a Dolphins fan. We haven't had a playoff win.
Look,
in over
I was
20
in my
years.
third sophomore year of college at that point. So
You want to know misery? What are the two longest playoff droughts in sports? Cincinnati Reds, Miami Dolphins. You want to know misery?
is it really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Your two
the Reds-
favorite
I didn't
teams.
know that.
The Reds don't have a playoff series win since 1995.
Well, you can pick them.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah,
brilliant,
buddy.
brilliant. And I'm the guy like that everyone's gonna rip one day, because one day it's gonna happen. The Dolphins are gonna win a Super Bowl, or the Reds are gonna win the World Series.
gonna be back-to-back
and
years
I'm
or
gonna have
something.
all the gear, and the people are gonna accuse me of being a bandwagon.
Well,
And I'll be
running the
able to-
risk of never being invited back, I am a Yankees fan, but I do have to couch that with I was a Yankees fan in the 80s growing up. And we didn't go to the playoffs for the entirety of Don Mattingly's career. He got in his last year, and that was it. So while everybody thinks from 96 on, 81 to 96 was a long time.
I mean,
Well, he allows
2010s, right? They didn't win a championship in the 2010s.
That's right. What the last one was 09, I think. Yeah, that's right.
Well, you can be a Yankees fan. He allows me on, and I'm an Astros fan. So,
That you can't get worse
I'm-
than that.
but I've
honestly.
Yeah,
been-
you really can't.
but I've been an Astros fan since like the early 2000s with Biggio, Bagwell, Berkman, Clemens, Pettit.
See, brother, I go back to Dickie Thon and Jose Cruz,
You're-
and
you're
Mike
on-
Scott.
You're only not coming on this fucking show if you're a Miami fan. I'm letting you know that's the only way you're never getting invited into this studio. Because I'll even have a Gator in here because
you
I
ain't
feel
gotta
like
worry about that.
I feel like with a Gator fan
That's
I
it.
can have a good conversation.
That's a Nick Gurley spot right there.
Yeah, right.
What is
But-
it? That's the only thing that will unite Seminole and Gator fans is a hatred for the U.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, just such a just such an obnoxious fan base for absolutely no reason at all.
Go Astros, Kyle Britton.
South
Yes,
Carolina
sir.
has more ACC championships than Miami.
Oh my god.
Great.
Moving on, Drew Gorman.
So with here's my little one-liner.
He's got a 2019.
I'm losing my mic here.
Plug this.
As an LSU fan.
Oh yeah, it's got a hard time staying up.
That's all right. Well,
They make
well,
pills for that.
Blue
I was
Chew.
going to say,
Get you some
what are you
Blue
trying
Chew
to tell
today.
me here?
Use the promo code.
I'm the
leave
old
it at
guy.
the table. It's not going to work, but you'll pay full price.
You give the old guy the limp microphone. I got it. I understand.
Use promo code, leave it at the table, and it will add $5 to your to your total.
Pay full price today.
So I was scrolling through Instagram this morning, and kind of came across something that was pretty interesting to me because it kind of going along right with the new contracts with Tua and Love getting their brand new deals. So in 2019, LSU beat 3 of the 4 highest paid QBs in the NFL right now. And you know what's funny? Joe Burrow is the 4th highest paid.
Wow. Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Of course, he
beat-
was the highest paid while he was at LSU. But
neither here nor there. Just ask Odell on the side. He's banned from LSU games now.
not anymore.
But Trevor Lawrence beat them in the national championship, beat Tua during the season, beat Jordan Love during the season.
I didn't realize they played Jordan Love.
Yeah.
UCLA.
Utah State.
No,
Or
Utah State. That's
Utah
right.
State came to LSU.
Why am I thinking UCLA?
Game,
Kevin Love. Idiot.
game 2. Yeah, Kevin
Good
Love.
God, different sport, different pigment, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's different.
Jordan Love
Missed it by
came
that much.
Jordan Love, I remember that game vividly because Jordan Love came, it was like week 2 or week 3, and there was so much hype. I had never heard of Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype around him coming to Tiger Stadium that there were, and it was right around the same time that the Saints were looking for a quarterback. So there were a lot of
I remember
people-
hearing about him.
There were a lot of people that, like Saints brass, came to the game to watch Jordan Love compete.
I don't
And-
think a LSU national championship was even on the mind at that point either.
No.
like, truthfully, because nobody really. I mean, because they gave up like 40 points to Vanderbilt in like week 4.
Yeah, it was like. Well,
So
we
I
also
mean-
scored 60.
Well,
but
no,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying though. Like
Yeah.
they weren't
No,
thinking natty
think
at that
they thought
point.
they
so
had
were-
a team that could compete.
Had a team
but
to
a team
do
that
it.
seemed destined, which is what it started to seem like around the Alabama game. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
it's-
It wasn't there.
And at that point in time, whenever we were going against Vandy, we were like, okay, yes, we have a team to do it, but let's get through Bama first. And that's as soon as we beat Bama, I started looking at some of my other friends and I was like, hey, we might do it.
Yeah.
We got a comment out there, Alex, from my cousin Brooke. Alex is triggered. I want to know why she commented that on YouTube. What did I do to Alex? Because we're talking shit about the Cowboys? Man, I don't know.
We're doing our job.
Or he's a Miami fan. That's love you, bud. Maybe on a video game podcast, or not a sports show. Not a sports show. That's all. I mean, I almost said F you, and I love you. You're my cousin. I truthfully, like, we ain't talking sports together. All right, Drew, I'm gonna kind of throw this over to you because we're gonna shift to WWE SummerSlam coming up this Saturday. Exciting weekend in wrestling. Full of championship matches. I think. Other
6
than
of the 7. Yeah.
Other than the tag team titles, almost every title is on the line here. So.
You know, I was thinking about that. If you look at this card, no tag matches. It really speaks to kind of the lack of interest in tag team wrestling in general in modern. I mean, look, I'm not a big AEW guy. I don't know that any of us are, but same thing. Apparently, the Bucks are still the champions there. They haven't had a title match in 100 days. There's no interest in tag team wrestling right now, which is
honestly,
interesting.
I can't name an exciting tag team right now. It's usually just the throw together teams on Raw. that are-
Possibly an FTR.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly thought the Usos were great together. Eventually, they'll probably be back together. But right
have
now, they've got to see this run through. You know me, I'm not a Jay guy, but they got to see this run through because he is incredibly popular.
Yeah.
But I think eventually they will come back together.
He's got like the third highest T-shirt sales right now
sure.
behind Punk and Roman.
I'm
So
sure.
he's beating out Cody.
Yeah.
No,
So-
yeet.
My God.
I know that. No yeet.
No yeet. So it's kind of gonna just have Drew read the.
Let's go.
I put a pronunciation.
No,
thing in
I
there
want
for-
to hear it. Don't even use that. I want you to guess.
Just for the first one at least.
Oh, this Intercontinental Championship has 3?
Yeah, it's a triple threat.
All right.
Which I didn't know, by the way. I didn't know they made it a triple threat match. So.
Oh God.
Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker
Yeah.
with 2 Ks,
Yes.
and Elja.
Ilya Dragunov. You know what? I didn't know they had done that either because I was on the road Monday and missed all that.
Yeah, this is something that I learned when I pulled up the card earlier.
So who's the pick, guys?
By the way, C in the parentheses means they're currently the champion.
I'm just reading the comment. This intro is like a Y2J countdown. That's perfect. Sorry, guys. You have to know wrestling to get that. So they have to go with Breakker here. They just have to. Now, they're telling a story that he's the upstart. Everybody knows his talent. He's the upstart who isn't, experienced yet. He makes the mistake, but he learns from it. They've told this for weeks. They need to put him through. He's the future. This guy's going to be battling for the heavyweight championship within 18 months. There's no doubt. So they're going to put him over. Maybe they throw Ilya in there to take the pin and protect Sammy, although I don't think they need to. I mean, I think it would be better if Sammy put Braun over, but Breakker has to win here, and I think he will.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, 100%. I think Braun Breakker has to win. Now, the only thing that kind of worries me a little bit is maybe they put Dragunov in this to take the pin instead of Breakker so that Sammy can retain, and then you can kind of keep this going for a while. I just think Braun is eventually he's got to get into that world title scene, and I don't know, man. Taking the title off of him will be difficult to do down the road. So maybe putting the IC title on him at this point is not a great idea. But with that said, I mean, he's just so dominant, and I think it's been a long time. And now with Brock Lesnar gone, WWE needs that big physical dominant presence that's believable. By the way, a believable dominant presence, like not somebody that they try to make or portray as dominant, just somebody that's so freakishly athletic and just looks the part. So I got Braun Breakker going over as well.
Is Breakker is he a young kid from Akron? Or
he is the son of Rick Steiner of the Steiner brother, and he's the nephew of Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. So, and in fact, I mean, he's just like his daddy.
Yeah,
I mean that he even does the bark and all, but you can see it. But the thing that he does that is truly special, the speed that he has in running the ropes. I've never seen anybody that big, certainly, that could run the ropes that fast.
Remind me to show you that when we get off the air.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, please.
He makes insane. The ring move. He hits the ring, the rope.
Yeah,
so
dude,
hard.
it's freakish. It's freakish.
He's a real budding superstar. I mean, he really is.
Moving on to the United States Championship, you've got the current champion Logan Paul defending his title against LA Knight.
Yeah.
It's got to happen, right? That's
almost word exactly the way I was going to say. Here's the problem: if you don't put it on LA Knight now, there's nothing left. Yeah. And look,
he can't fail.
And maybe that's what they're going to do with him. I think it's a shame because this guy, he has stepped up tremendously over the last year, and I like Logan Paul. I think he's a tremendous heel. I honestly think he needs to kind of on the tertiary get into the Cody thing a little bit. Like the thing about his third match being with Roman for the title, everybody scoffed at it. I thought it worked perfectly for his character. I don't think he needs to be holding a steady belt. I thought it served its purpose for a few months. This is a perfect time to put LA Knight over and get Logan Paul involved in something even bigger because he brings eyeballs, he brings ratings, he brings all the kids that follow him, all of that into wrestling. He's important, but I think LA Knight needs to win this match.
How ironic for him to take the pin right on the Prime logo, by the way.
That would be great.
Would be awesome. It's just, at this point, if LA doesn't go over here, then I just feel like you've just destroyed a superstar.
I think so.
This guy's been massively over for over 2 years now. The crowd still just goes crazy every time that music hits, and you got to put something on him. I understand why you wouldn't want to put the world title on him. Yeah. I understand.
This is a perfect spot for him.
It really is. And maybe Logan Paul takes the shift to Raw once they go to Netflix to kind of pull a lot of eyeballs there. I know Netflix is going to want some really big names on there once they do shift. So there's a lot more left for Logan Paul beyond the United States title than there is for LA Knight.
Agreed.
So moving on to the Women's World Championship, I will be watching this version. We've got the current champion, Liv Morgan, defending against Rhea Ripley. I love Rhea.
Yeah, mommy.
You can't go wrong with this match at all. I think the way I've described this before, this match is utterly predictable, and it needs to be. Dom needs to turn and be with Liv. Now, whether Liv then casts him aside, and I mean, that could be a whole nother thing, but they need to go on and have Dom, look like he was, didn't want anything to do with Liv and all this, and then turn on Rhea. It's a perfect story to tell. It's like when Dom went heel initially. Everyone knew it was coming, and it had to.
And it still worked.
And it worked. And you can tell this Rhea Liv story longer, and it needs something like that, because if you look at Rhea standing next to Liv, it's not believable that Liv could beat her. But with interference, it is. I think Liv goes over here. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but Dom and maybe other members of the Judgment Day turn. Maybe Finn's involved as well. There's been some kind of background story there. But what they're doing, I've not been a Liv Morgan fan until this storyline. She is doing a wonderful job in this role, and I think they want to build on that.
Really enjoyed the wardrobe Monday night.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no.
Show me after the show.
I the thing about with picking wrestling is maybe we'll be split here in a little bit, but here at least on these first couple mid card matches, I echo. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to echo everything you said. We all know it's coming, and it needs to happen. It's good storytelling. It's going to still get a big reaction out of the crowd, and Rhea's going to get the title back at some point.
That's right.
Because she's just incredible. There's not
she's
many
the
that
face
are better.
of that division.
Yeah, 100%.
To me, the only person, and I love Becky Lynch, I don't think Becky's on Rhea's level. The only one who's on Rhea's level fully healthy is Charlotte. And they're going to bring her back. They may bring her back at SummerSlam.
I was going to say.
But they're definitely going to bring her back at some point.
Very soon.
The WWE Women's Championship, Bayley is defending her title against Nia Jax.
Oh, Refrigerator Jax. She's
all right, I'm looking up a picture.
She's a lot of woman.
She's a lot less of a she looks great now, and she
does. And look, I like this run she's been on. She has a history of being very clumsy and hurting people. What she did to Valkyria at Queen of the Ring, I thought she killed her. I really did.
Or broke some ribs or something.
And she didn't. In the past, she legitimately would have. So she has gotten better. I think this run has been good. Oh, yeah, she's a big girl.
Oh, that was her on Valkyria.
Yeah.
Watch the impact.
Well, I was going to say, pull up the video
it'll make you hurt.
Yeah.
This is actually a hard one to call. I'm going to take Bayley in this match for one reason. I think there's going to be a lot of title changes on this card, and I think they need to keep a few. Liv's going to retain, and as much as I hate that both female belts are going to stay in the same place, I think they're going to let Bayley go through. They will probably tell some sort of underlying story between Tiffany with the Money in the Bank briefcase and Nia. I don't think she cashes in yet, but somehow inadvertently she costs Nia and Bayley wins. Or maybe it looks inadvertent, but she drops enough of a hint that maybe she doesn't want to face Nia with that thing. So I think that's what's going on here. But I could just as easily see them reward Nia for her work coming back. So, and Bayley works good as chaser. So, but I'll take Bayley here.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. I do. That's crazy because I think the same thing. You got another story to tell with Nia and Tiffany moving forward. Now you got a little side feud, which there's been rumors of the women getting a mid-card title on each show coming here soon. So, and I think that this is where you bring Charlotte back. You set up Bayley versus Charlotte in the future. So
they very well could.
You watched it, huh?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I wish my chiropractor could do that to me though.
Dog, ain't no one big enough to do that to you.
Shout out Michael Cutchins.
By the way, Kyle, I 100% agree. Stacy Keibler is easily. She overtook Christy Brinkley. Y'all aren't old enough, look her up. But Stacy Keibler is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
Stacy Keibler.
She just is.
All right.
That was
you need to look her up.
I am in the under the same roof currently as the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life.
That a boy. Well done. Well played. I'm single, so it's Stacy Keibler for me.
She is very good looking.
I will say, though, Tori Wilson's Hall of Fame speech where she said, "Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives and for a large amount of you, thank you for letting me be a big part of your puberty. When Tori Wilson said that, I was like, yes, ma'am.
She was 100% right.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was more Team Stacy than Team Tori. So.
Yes, ma'am. All right. We've got the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest is defending against Gunther. Gunther.
That ain't getting it.
When I came over here the last time for was it SummerSlam?
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Gunther, that's one bad dude.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He'll spaghettify your chest, bro.
Yeah.
He's an old-time wrestler. He is exactly what people who grew up watching wrestling in the 80s and 90s and all that. Yeah, Sonny was on fire, too. But
Sonny.
But I will say that
You can find a lot of Sonny now.
this
Kyle
is
Albert.
yeah, that's true. This is the match where I feel like if they're gonna throw a Triple H swerve, this is where it's gonna happen because it probably should be Gunther. He's clearly the future of that belt. I think. I mean, what he did with the Intercontinental belt was obviously a setup for this, putting Zayn over to move on to this. We've got Berlin in 3 weeks. That's why I can't figure out what they're doing.
That's right.
It would make sense to go in and put the belt on him for 80 different reasons. He could carry it into Berlin. He's obviously going to be a face there. But do you have some kind of weird screw job finish, something or other, to where they run it back? Like, look, Priest has been saying for weeks now or months now, don't help me, don't help me. Does the Judgment Day interfere? Priest goes, that wasn't right. I'm going to give you a rematch. They do it in Berlin, and he wins in front of the home crowd. I don't know. Does the Judgment Day turn on Damian? I don't know. I'm going to say Gunther wins, but it would not shock me at all if they ended up and turned it over to that, to Priest winning.
So you remember the Jimmy versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania? The feud was incredible.
rough.
The match was terrible.
Correct.
I think this match is going to be incredible, but this feud is just they
didn't build it up long enough.
Yeah,
For it to feel big.
like
I think Priest
these
has
events are
done
so tight right now.
I think well, that's the problem is they've got such a big roster. They're kind of having one group do 5 matches at this, other than Cody, who kind of is the through line to all of them.
Right.
They kind of have a group that does this one. It's like odds and evens almost. And so they don't have a whole lot of time to tell the long story outside of the bloodline.
Right. Yeah.
So you're right about that. And it's a shame. I think Priest has actually stepped up a little bit, other than he's had a few little botchy things like getting his foot caught and things like that. But
Which is very lucky that didn't end.
oh my God,
horribly.
that was scary
Yeah.
looking. But I think he's done a pretty good job with this. So this is the one above all. I can't really tell if this is where they're going. I know they're going to swerve one on me, and this one might be it.
Kyle Alberton playing. I don't know if you're playing dumb to the whole Sonny comment that I made, but
He is.
okay.
No, he's not playing dumb because he messaged me. He was like,
Sunny
I'm
days.
so confused.
You can see a lot of Sonny, brother. There's a lot of Sonny out there. If you're interested, there's a lot of Sonny out there.
Yeah.
Explain that to me later.
There's this thing called the internet.
Yeah.
And she's all over it.
If you
Oh,
type
Sonny
Sonny
is a
in,
person.
If you
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tamara Snitch, is it Tamara Snitch?
Tammy Lynn Sitch.
Cinch, that's right. If you turn the incognito mode and turn the safe search off, and type that in, things will. If you like Sunny, it'll work up. Sunny
right.
side up is where I'm.
Sunny days.
Hey, my man's
Lynn.
Googling her. Turn your safe search on, Drew. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
with
turn
the
your
wife.
volume down. Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Let's
go get Drew a towel.
Videos.
No, don't turn on videos.
I'll be back later. And that concludes our show, guys.
Moving on. I'm picking Gunther. He's got to go over. You don't take the Intercontinental title off of him without having some plan here.
So this one doesn't have it looks like it's just going to be a match.
That's right.
CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Love the name. And with a special guest ref of Seth Rollins.
Man, this feud has been one of my favorite in recent WWE memory, and I'm talking like going back years.
Yeah.
The fact that both the work that both of these guys have put in while Punk is not even cleared. Drew on social media, Punk just every time he would touch the microphone. This has been beautifully done. Yeah. I've enjoyed this. That said, the Seth Rollins element, I think that there's too much with him and Punk to build on in the future. I think McIntyre goes over.
I think you're right. Drew McIntyre, I've never seen someone elevate that much in one feud the way he has. He has gone to an entirely new level.
Yeah.
This was a guy who had all the abilities, and look, he had the misfortune of being champ right as COVID hit, and, you know, the whole story there. And he was talented, but just kind of, What he has done since the Royal Rumble and leaned into this character is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Punk is perfect to play off of that, and you've got the added element of Seth and his puffy shirt referee. Yeah, he looked like Seinfeld with a puffy shirt on the other night. I mean, it's hilarious. But here's what I think is going to happen. This is clearly not a one-off match with these two. This is going to be a trilogy at least. I think it's going to end at Bad Blood.
In a Hell in a Cell.
In a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
27 or whatever years to the day.
Yeah.
Of that one.
Of Kane's debut.
That's
in the
right.
First ever.
So here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to tie this into 97 SummerSlam, where you had The Undertaker versus Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels was the referee, the guest referee. And I think what you're going to have is the similar type thing. I think Drew, both of them are going to be messing with Seth, and Seth's going to be pushing back. I think Drew's going to go after Seth to the point that Seth then just turns and goes to hit Drew with a chair or something, misses and takes out Punk. And Drew gets the win. Now this thing amps up even more. The next match, I don't know if they're going triple threat yet, but I think it ends triple threat Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood.
Clip that.
So do you? Yeah. There's.
So I think Drew goes over in this match, but because of shenanigans between Seth and everybody.
Can you see if this feud does continue and it gets hotter and hotter and the fans are really getting in there? Can you see a situation like where they pulled the title into Jericho Michaels a few years ago, where they just they find a way to pull the title in? Selling a non-title triple threat is going to be hard, but these are three guys that you could do it with.
This might be the only story they've got right now that doesn't need a belt. And I'm actually glad they didn't, because I think too often they involve the belt with Punk when he doesn't need it. Now, that may be at his request. I don't know. But I've never thought in any of this that Punk needed the belt.
Right.
You know, even with Drew, if you're telling the Punk and Cody story or whatever they looked like they were going to do, and they have the face-to-face where they can tell that story later, fine. That one is different. That's a belt situation. This is hatred that doesn't need a belt, and I'm glad they're telling these kind of stories, because too many of them are tied to belts. Could they work it in? Sure. I don't think they need to.
Now, we could have another story coming up soon that's not going to need the belt, and I'm going to let you read this title match off.
Okay.
Now we have the undisputed WWE Championship match. And that's the best I'll do. You've got Cody Rhodes defending against Solo Sikoa.
Close.
Sikoa.
Close. Not bad.
Sikoa.
Pronounce the last name.
Sikoa.
So the added question here that we'll get into on the back half of this is, does Roman return? And so first of all, I think Cody goes over. But I mean, there is an outside world where Cody could have a thing with Randy after this that doesn't need the title, and you pull Roman right back into the title picture.
They could tell this story 5 different ways, and all would be great.
So we were talking about this on the way in, and we didn't get to go into detail. There's a lot of different ways to go in.
Okay.
Here.
First things first, and caught this on the Underdogs. Sorry, free plug. I didn't mean to do that, but
No. I
that one's
just
fine.
kid about that.
I'm no worries.
I just joke about that. I love
If Cody and Solo starts the pay-per-view, we're not getting Roman. Just period. We're not getting Roman. If they're the main event, we have a chance. It's not guaranteed. I thought coming into today it was guaranteed. You have to bring Roman back. I still think it's the right thing to do. It's a huge show. I think people would leave that venue upset if you don't get Roman. You've set this up to get him back. So obviously, if it's in the main event, we've got a chance. Now, how do you tell that story? You could easily put Solo over. Cody, I've always thought is better as a chaser anyway. I don't think you have to take the belt off of him. He's not been bad with it. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be with it. You could put Solo over and tell the story of Solo took this belt. He was supposed to wait for Roman to get back. Cody's off limits. Roman comes out. Now we set up the internal bloodline struggle for Survivor Series. Great story. I think that could work well. The other way you can do this is you can bring Roman back. Let's say Cody goes over. Bloodline does what the Bloodline does. They jump Cody. They're beating him into oblivion. All of a sudden, you see Paul Heyman, or you hear, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, that place is going to go crazy.
And then all you see is like, and only the way he can do with that Hitchcockian face of his, he just very slowly looks up and smiles. And you hear Roman's music hit. Oh, yeah.
Chill. Dude, I literally got chills
thinking
about the smile, because the Paul Heyman smile set that music up.
It would be wonderful. So Roman comes to the ring, looks like the bloodline's backing up. This side or the other looks like he's saving Cody, and then boom, turns and just jackhammer clotheslines Cody down.
Holy cow.
Takes the reins back of the bloodline. This was always the plan. I don't know. I don't know which way I like better. I think the internal bloodline story is going to be something. But let me throw one more twist in there before I make my prediction. We're all assuming it's Roman. We're assuming it's Roman. You talked about this earlier. Who else is about to be free?
Jimmy?
The Rock.
Oh, The Rock. Yeah, no, yep.
They may bring The Rock back first.
So The Rock just wrapped his only film of the summer.
Yeah.
And we know he's going to be a part of WrestleMania next year. He's already said that himself. You're kind of coming up on a big part of WWE's schedule here, where you've got from August to November, you've got some big shows coming up. You've got the Saudi Arabia show, and then of course in November it's Survivor Series, it's War Games, and that's where we're assuming we're going to get the Bloodline Civil War of sorts. So it could be Rocky.
Yeah, it
could be Rock Saturday. I do think something's happening.
Could be Jimmy too.
Now,
that's the thing.
I am of the belief that that place is going to go crazy when Roman returns, and I do hope Roman does come back Saturday. That said, I'm partially of the belief, for storyline telling, I think Jimmy has to come back first because Jimmy went out last, right? So Jimmy coming back first would kind of set the stage for Roman to come back. But
the problem there is you can't just bring Jimmy back on the show and that's it.
Right. Exactly. It's not big enough.
That would be a lead balloon.
Well, is Jimmy even allowed?
You can bring
in Canada?
Jimmy, and then it's a fair point.
Well, this is in Cleveland, not Canada.
That's right.
I'm so
might as well be Canada. Mistake by the lake. What are you gonna do? But no, it's all right. So for my prediction, even though I don't think this is the better story, I think Cody will go over. I think the Bloodline will jump him. I think Roman does come out, and I think he gets that huge monster babyface pop, and then boom, he turns on Cody because he is so much better as the mega bad heel. What is the final boss, to steal the Rock's line?
Yeah,
I think he's so much better at that. Now, at that point, does that surprise Heyman? And then Heyman starts a new stable, and we get Lesnar in a couple months. I don't know, but I'll go with that. I'll go with Cody going over. Roman comes back and turns on Cody.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Cody going over, and I'm gonna say that Roman does come back with the beat down, but there's no physical contact. It's a stare from the ramp to the the ring.
Yeah, and I'm back and go to black from that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Does that entrance is going to take too long? It's in a football stadium. It's you're going to have 4 minutes at the entrance. Yeah. And ain't Brock Lesnar coming back, or he marched to the ring all fast.
One thing to something earlier that you said, I actually think Randy Cody does need to be for the belt. Yeah, okay. I just do. I think that works better there, but
because he's been looking at the belt.
I just think so. I just think they've done a lot with Randy without the belt for a while, but I think he's got that Viper look, as you were, and I think that matters to him. The other thing I was thinking about, they may find a way to shoehorn Cena into this again, but the one thing I will say for 2025, they're going to find a way. Cena is going to get 17. He's going to.
So let's go into that. We'll end the show there.
That's the only reason to do what they're doing with him, is to give him number 17.
He said that, and when he came back, if you missed it, if you've been under a rock, Cena came out at Money in the Bank, and announced that he is retiring from the WWE. After the show, he confirmed that he's going to run a full schedule of 2025. He's going to be there from January to December. WrestleMania will be his last WrestleMania, but it won't be his last match.
That's right.
His last match will be in December. So we're going to get a full year of John Cena on the way out. I assume that basically what I have written down here is like if Cena had 10 PLE matches next year, book them. And we don't have to go event by event, but if you were going to go like 10 opponents that Cena had to, and just like one thing, like, and I agree with you, Cena's going to go to, in that speech, he said, Raw's going to Netflix and I will be there.
Yeah.
So Cena's going to be on Raw. Cena needs to win the world title. Cena needs to get 17. But that to me is less important than one major milestone that John Cena doesn't have. He's won Money in the Bank. He's won the Royal Rumble twice. He's won the world title 16 times. He has never been a Grand Slam champion. He has never won the Intercontinental title.
He hasn't. That's right.
So I think that's also something that I could see.
Could very well be.
There's a lot of young stars on Raw that could really use a John Cena rub. Just to kind of spitball a couple of guys, I want his last match or his last WrestleMania to me has to be with Orton.
Yeah.
Or his last match, period. I think he has to face Orton. I think he's got to face Punk.
Yeah. See, Punk would be who I'd do his last match with.
It's one of the two.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. And if it's not, like, whoever is not his last match needs to be his last Mania.
Or, and the timing won't work, but let's say this was his last year right now, I'd say the perfect thing to do is have him put Breaker over. But Breaker won't need it in a year or so.
No.
So maybe a young guy, but no, I think Punk or Orton would be phenomenal in that to put him over for sure.
I want to see Gunther.
Yeah,
I think you got
match.
the classic Cena Gunther thing there. I'd like to see Logan Paul.
That'd be certainly Clash of Styles.
Yeah. I just think the mic work would work really good.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, could Cena carry Logan's type of match? I'm trying to think through if I've seen many with that type of athlete with him. I don't know.
I mean, AJ.
I guess it's possible.
You have to think back to AJ, which is in my opinion, one of Cena's best matches.
Yeah, I mean, AJ's a lot more of a clean worker himself.
That's true, though.
But I don't know. I mean, that could work. I mean, it's an interesting matchup for sure. Watch him find a way to bring Ric Flair out of retirement to where Cena gets 17 over a 9,000-year-old Ric Flair. I don't know.
My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It has to be Orton. It has to be Punk. You'd probably give him one more run with Roman. I mean, they had some decent matches too.
What about a run with Cody?
Hell, maybe Lesnar.
According to a company that I'm not going to shout out, no free shout outs, they do BR. 7 opponents John Cena must face on his WWE farewell tour.
Okay. Let's hear it.
We got Randy Orton.
Yep, has to.
CM Punk.
Has to.
Cody Rhodes.
Has to.
The Rock.
Yeah, this will be number 3, right?
You would get the rubber match, and you kind of got a little bit of the tease for that at WrestleMania.
That's right.
That's not an elimination chamber match. That's
I agree.
SummerSlam.
Yeah,
that's right.
It says The Rock and Cena have only had 2 opportunities to fight each other. The Great One got the win at WrestleMania 28, and the C-Nation leader tied the score the following year.
Being a wrestling fan and just knowing what word he couldn't read.
Yeah, I was like, C-Nation. So it was like giving these 2 titans of the industry one more match to break the tie seems like an opportunity WWE can't pass up.
I mean, can you imagine the billing for that SummerSlam? If you're going to book a 2-night SummerSlam,
that's the one.
That's the one.
It's a big match.
You got what? Roman versus Cody, night 1 of SummerSlam, and Cena Rock, night 2.
It's a big match.
Huge.
Yeah.
Going on, we have Gunther.
Yeah.
AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if
There's
I need
history,
that.
but I mean,
And the last one is Oba Femi.
Well, that'd be the new guy. That would be the young guy they'd want to put him with. That could work.
That's the kid from NXT, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trick could be a good opponent for Cena.
He could make Trick really good, which
I
think
so.
Somebody like Trick would need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says one thing Cena has to do during his final run is put over a young star. Yeah. If he only spends his final year of facing old rivals, it will be a waste.
Yeah, and that's
and it'll
kinda,
probably get stale.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's right.
And that's kind of where I was going with like the Logan Pauls and the Gunthers.
Yeah.
I mean, but he still has to get either that Grand Slam title or that 17th title.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree. The Intercontinental is not something I had thought about, so that's an interesting take. I think 16 has been such a sacrosanct number in wrestling for so long. The way they've designed this whole thing screams to me they're going to break that. They're going to get him 17. Now, do they take Orton there too eventually? And Orton's on what, 14?
Orton is on 14.
Yeah, so, who knows, but
I mean, because you do a little hot potato with him and Cody, all of a sudden he's at 16.
yeah.
I think that's who needs to take the title off of Cody, by the way. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But I know I kind of contradicted that earlier.
No, I don't hate that at all.
I think that's who needs to take the title off of Cody.
And that may happen if you get this internal bloodline thing at Survivor Series. What would be a perfect main event of Survivor Series outside of the Survivor Series match? But Cody and Orton.
Yeah.
And you have time to tell that story.
You do. I mean, and it's such a good story to tell. And I mean, you could leak that over into the Royal Rumble, everything.
What about me? What about Raven? I love it.
Oh, what about Raven? Good God, Raven.
All right, Kyle, I'll give Drew a stunner and we'll make him puke to end the show. There we go.
There it is.
I told
There's
you
puke
before the
reference.
show, all he wants me to do is puke. That's all that man wants me to
Hey,
do.
shout out on this day in 1996, by the way, Kurt Angle won a gold medal with a broken freaking
With a
neck
broken
on
freaking
this
neck.
day.
I think I broke
Did
his
you watch
freaking
that
neck.
documentary on him?
I have not.
It's on Peacock. I'm telling you, the amount of training that guy did is otherworldly. And I mean, I've seen elite level athletes train. I've never seen anything like what he did. It was scary. It was a phenomenal documentary. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch that. It was a really good watch, but it is crazy what that guy put himself through.
Don't you dare ask that question. I'm the question asker right now.
Go ahead.
We've got Chef Ross saying, is the WWE trying to run from Flair?
While the Vince McMahon thing's going on, they're running from Flair as far as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truthfully,
And honestly, that might be why Brock doesn't come back for a while, too.
yeah. While all this is going on, I think there's a reason they've been quiet about Brock. I'm almost wondering if he's not like just being unfairly tied into this.
Probably.
Basically, I'm not sure that he was that he knew that they were being pimped out to him.
It very well
That's-
could be.
and that he's young and dumb at the time as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or victim blame or anything like that.
There's just a lot we don't know.
There's so much unknown, and I think that's why they're like, they basically say Vince is done. Vince is done.
Yeah.
But with Brock, they're like, he's going to be back. It's just when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think them playing it coy with Brock and being willing to mention his name just kind of speaks to Brock's innocence, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
As far as running from Flair, if you see every time Ric Flair's in the news, it's like mostly negative. The whole situation over in Gainesville, in the restaurant where he's just belligerently cussing up a storm.
He feels like a guy who's playing a caricature of himself all the time.
Yeah.
It's like he has to live up to the character of Ric Flair instead of being Richard Fleer,
Yeah.
and it's a shame, but
Well, hey,
God, he's funny.
but Hulk Hogan's still tearing off his shirts at the Republican committees. So, conventions, I mean. But I guess when you have a hell of a gimmick, you got to live it, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, that's
you
true.
got to live it.
At some point, it just becomes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sad and crazy part about it.
So after all of our predictions, I really hope I'm wrong on at least two of them, just because I want it. It's weird. I sit here and I agonize over trying to predict these. And if all of them went the way I predicted, I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I saw all this coming, but
And that's the
I
craziest.
want some of them, but
That's the craziest part for me because I came over for the WrestleMania event.
yeah.
And then hearing everybody's chatter and just talk about what could happen, there's a whole nother world
Yeah.
that I had. Like, obviously, you enjoy watching grown men throw grown men around. Like, that's obviously fun. But thinking about the turntables of everything, why they're setting up stuff, why they're doing certain things, and why certain people are in certain situations. It was like a whole new light went off in my head just listening to you guys, especially right here as well, because I'm sitting here going, oh, wow, they're going to Berlin, so that sets up Gunther and all this and this and this and this is it was just
Kyle, you and I
wild.
may have texted this back and forth. I was over here for night 1. I really wish you and I had watched night 2 together.
Yeah.
Because what I so thoroughly, and it was the most overbooked main event in history, and it was beautiful because of it.
So beautifully chaotic.
What I loved so much, it's the best story I've ever seen and it's not a surprise. I mean, a surprise is one thing, but if it's a surprise that you never could see coming, that's fine. The best stories that they tell in this or in movies or in anything is when it plays out and you're like, oh my God, how did I not see that coming? That is what is so rich about it. The layers upon layers, the Roman deciding, do I take Cody out or do I get my revenge from 10 years earlier on Seth Rollins? Was
beautiful
cinema. It was beautiful. It reminded me of The Usual Suspects. The first time I ever saw that, if you've never seen that movie, watch it tonight. Kevin Spacey, before he was completely insane.
Kevin Spacey.
But I'm telling you, it's a movie. The instant I finished it, I went, how in the world did I not see that coming? I rewound it. You had to rewind movies back then. Rewound it and watched it immediately afterwards. That's what I love. That's the way I felt about the main event this year. The best stories are the ones where they catch you with, I should have seen that coming and I didn't. And right now the WWE is great at that.
Yeah. I absolutely agree, and I'm really excited to see all this play out Saturday. I mean, there's so much more conversation we could go into.
Oh, I know.
We're gonna have to run this back at
That's
some
right.
point. I mean,
Yeah,
Rumble's
I loved
coming up
it.
in January. Obviously want to have you back here
Sure, I
anytime.
appreciate it.
Anytime,
No, this was
open
a great
invite.
time. Thank you.
just not during football season. I don't like his team.
That's fair. No, that's fair. He's got a fresh helmet over there that usually tries to take David out. We didn't hang it up tonight because we're still trying to find.
I don't
a better
know.
way
This
to
might
hang
be the
these
year you
helmets.
want us. Who knows?
Yeah, well, who knows, man.
Remind me not to tell you my hot take on the college football season then.
Ooh,
We'll have to save that for another time.
tease it for next time.
Okay, I'm in.
But it involves your team.
Ooh,
We lose Brian Kelly.
oh well.
Go football.
Hamlet.
Hamlet, baby.
Let's just say I don't think he's going to be the coach next year.
Ooh, okay. Well, I want to hear this one. No, we can't. We don't. Have,
No.
We don't-
We'll save that one.
We're like
That's a rabbit
We
hole
haven't even
there.
started the season yet. We'll save that one.
all right. Coach Haddad, Brian,
Yeah, man.
thank you so much for coming on
you.
tonight.
Thanks for having me
Appreciate it.
To everybody that stuck around for Wrestling Talk, I appreciate all three of you.
Oh, one of them's me. No, I'm just kidding.
You're good. No, I appreciate
I'll bet
everybody.
there's a lot more out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's everybody kind of goes back and watches later, and I really do appreciate all the interaction, all the comments. We really appreciate you guys for sticking around.
Except for certain comments, Kyle Albritton.
Yeah, well,
Stunner time.
Stunner with the vomit coming out instead of the beer would be crazy. Drew, I'll see you at 7:30 next Wednesday because I'm not going to see you tomorrow.
Oh, well, 7:30. You cut me short. It'd be 7:45.
7:45. Now, eventually, we're just going to start the show at 8 o'clock and call it even.
Eventually, you're gonna start the show. We're gonna be like, Drew's gonna get here when he gets here.
Yeah, I
Go,
think
just save your $50. Go back to your old intro. That'll work.
Yeah, that's fair.
perfect.
That's fair. All right, to everybody out there, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys share this, tell your friends, let everybody know that we're here, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Don't know what we're doing next Wednesday yet, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys then.